Hello, this is Dwight Mutonono, also known as Nyaradzi, also known as Mutos, and welcome to the Connection Desk. We're in Acts chapter 23. Today we're going to be going from verses 12 to 22. And it is the plot to kill Paul after the Sanhedrin, where he had managed to split the Sanhedrin because of the issue of Pharisees and Sadducees and the resurrection. There was a plot to kill him, which occurred on the day after that meeting at the Sanhedrin. Let me read. The next morning, the Jews formed a conspiracy and bound themselves with an oath not to eat or drink until they had killed Paul. More than 40 men were involved in this plot. They went to the chief priests and elders and said, "We have taken a solemn oath not to eat anything until we have killed Paul. Now then, you and the Sanhedrin petitioned the commander to bring him before you on the pretext of wanting more accurate information about his case. We are ready to kill him before he gets here." But when the son of Paul's sister heard of this plot, he went into the barracks and told Paul. Then Paul called one of the centurions and said, "Take this young man to the commander. He has something to tell him." So he took him to the commander. The centurion said, "Paul the prisoner sent for me and asked me to bring this young man to you because he has something to tell you." The commander took the young man by the hand, drew him aside, and asked, "What is it you want to tell me?" He said, "The Jews have agreed to ask you to bring Paul before the Sanhedrin tomorrow on the pretext of wanting more accurate information about him. Don't give in to them, because more than 40 of them are waiting in ambush for him. They have taken an oath not to eat or drink until they have killed him. They are ready now, waiting for your consent to their request." The commander dismissed the young man and cautioned him, "Don't tell anyone that you have reported this to me." So, there was an oath to kill Paul. There was, these men had gone before God and made a promise that they were going to kill Paul. That's a very deep hatred for Paul, and also they must have been fully convinced that what they would be doing in killing Paul would be in line with what God would want them to do. So they were deluded, or they were deceived. They were deceived. So these 40 people would probably not be more than the number of people who were guarding Paul. So Paul had a centurion. There's a talk of a centurion guarding him. So that means you've got maybe about 100 or so people. Some would say 80 and so on, but about 100 people. And while they could ambush a group of that sort and kill him, they would probably be killed themselves in the process. And it would be a suicide mission that they were doing. So, but they had bound themselves to do this, and they were really saying they wanted to kill Paul. So they went to the chief priests and the elders. And the chief priests and elders would mostly have been the Sadducees. It seems the Pharisees were not included or approached by the conspirators. It would be more the Sadducee side of the Sanhedrin that would have been approached. And it also shows how low these characters were. You see, it seems like they didn't think they had a strong enough case to stand up in court against Paul. And, to resort to this sort of thing, it shows they didn't have confidence in their case. But also it shows that they have a very low character. They were people of very low character to be able to do this. So when evil forces enter corrupt systems, or they corrupt the systems, they work through people of low character whose values are misaligned with the ideals of the structure they are in. So generally what it is there's some values that are within a structure, a given structure, be it a company, be it a nation, be it whatever. So in this case, the structure would be the Sanhedrin. And the values that uphold the Sanhedrin would be high moral values. But the people who are in these spaces, or who are occupying the positions in the Sanhedrin, were of low moral character. They were of low character, and they were not at the level of character that was necessary to be able to sustain the system, the Sanhedrin system, in the ideal manner. You see, they could not provide justice in the way that the Sanhedrin was supposed to provide it, because of the fact that they themselves were not aligned to the ideal values. So we had people of low character in these positions, and having wrong people in key positions can be a deadly thing. And this is why it's so important to be careful who is appointed a leader in any given situation. So we then get introduced to Paul's nephew, the son of Paul's sister, as that version said there. And it's the only mention of Paul's family that we see in the Bible there. And he had a sister. It's not clear whether he or she or her family had become believers, but there were some strong family bonds still somehow. And this young man was able to visit Paul while he was in the barracks, while he was a prisoner. So he was a Roman prisoner, but he had some rights and some privileges, and he could be visited. And Paul was visited by this young man while he was in the custody of the commander, or of the centurions, to be more specific. And it seems he was not being treated as a prisoner, but as a Roman citizen under protection. So he had access to the centurions and the commander, which are the very high level people. And so he was treated as a high status prisoner. So you see that clearly. So the conspiracy to kill him achieved something that was not intended, because a Roman guard was now sent, or was now constituted to send Paul away. So they now actually had a Roman guard to go with him because of the conspiracy, and they realized that he might be attacked. So the commander listened to the young man, and probably because of conspiracies of this, they were not unusual, he believed him and he acted. See, the other thing about taking a person by the hand, it was a sign of welcome, of kindness, of assurance, to say, let me hear what you have to say. And the 40 men who took an oath not to eat or drink until they killed Paul were likely released from that oath once their plan was thwarted due to Paul's transfer. So, we then have this situation where God uses this whole plot to actually have Paul moved by the Roman guard on to Caesarea. So we'll be talking about his trip to Caesarea in the next session. So you are blessed and continue in God's favor.